Alright, CFR Title 30, Volume 2, Part 206, Valuation for Subpart D, Federal Gas. 206-150, purpose and scope of the person part of the applicable for the oil of the gas production, federal oil and the gas leave of the person, subpart of the established value of the production and the royalty for purposes, and if the mineral leasing law with the other applicable laws and lease terms. If the regulations are part in consistent with the federal statute of the development agreement between the United States of the lease result in the firm of the Ministry of the Judicial Litigation written agreement between the lease for the mineral management serve with the director established with the method for determining of the valuation production for an leave of the mineral management serve with the expense of the less least approximate the value of the establishment of the support or the expense of the provision or of the gas leave with the support statute of the development agreement. The written agreement, the leave provision will govern the extent of the inconsistency of royalty payment made with the mineral oil management for the subject of the audit and adjustment with the regulations so far with the intent of the insurer, the administrator of the oil and the gas leave with the insurer of the accordance with the requirements of the governing mineral leasing laws and leasing terms. 206-151 definition for the purpose of this part with affiliate means for the person with control of the owner of the common control of with another person for the purpose of the support ownership of the common ownership of the one with the 50% of the voting security of the instruments of the ownership, other forms of ownership of the other person constitute with the control of the ownership of less than 10% of the constitute with the presumption of the non-control of the mineral management services may rebut. If the ownership of the common with the ownership of the 10 through the 50% of the voting security of the instruments of the ownership of the other form of the ownership of the other person, the mineral management service will consider the following fact for determining whether they control under these circumstances for the particular case. 1. The extent to which of the common officer of the director. 2. With respect to the voting security of the instrument of the ownership of the other voter forms of the ownership of the percentage ownership of the common ownership of the relative of the percent of the ownership of the common ownership of the compared with the percent of the owner of the ownership of the other person of the person with the greatest single what is the greatest single owner or whether there's an opposing voting block under the greater ownership of the 3 the owner of the lease for the plant pipeline or other facility 4 the extent of the practical of the owner's operation day-to-day management of the lease and plant and pipeline other facility the other evidence property for the extra of the control over the common control of another person regardless of any of the percentage over every common ownership of the relative of any of the blood or marriage or affiliates allowances mean with a deduction of the determining value of the royalty for the process. Allowances mean with the allowance of the reasonable the actual call for the process for the gap for the determinant over the subpart of the transportation allowance the means of allowance for the unreasonable for the reasonable actual call for the movie, the unprofitable gas for residual gas for the gas plant, for the product for the payment, for the sale of the delivery, off of the lease for the utility area. Unit area, communitized area with away from the processing plant with the transportation allowance does not include with the gathering costs. Area means geographical region with the lease for the large with the defined limits for the oil and gas field with the oil and gas lease of the products for the similar quality with the economic legal characteristics. Arm's length contract means the contract agreement between the independent persons who are not affiliates who have opposing economic interests regarding the contract to be considered the arm's length for any of the production month. Contracts must satisfy with the definition for that per month as well with when the contract was executed. Audit means with the review conducted in accordance with the generally accepted with the accounting with the auditing standards of the royalty payment, compliance activities, the leases of other than interest of the lessors of the other interest holders who would pay with the royalty rent of the business of the federal leases. Bureau of Land Management, or BLM, Bureau of Land Management with the Department of Interior. Compression means with the process for the raising of the pressure of a gas. Condensation means liquid with hydrogen carbon exceeding 40 degrees of the API gravity covered over the surface of the resorting with the process of the condensate with a mixture of liquid hydrocarbon to resolve the condensation of the petroleum hydrocarbon exists initially with the gaseous phase in an underground reservoir. Contract meaning of the oil written agreement, including in agreements for amendments of the revision thereto between 2 or more persons enforceable by law that will do the conservation grade obligation field means the geographical situation 1 or more subsurface of the gas reservoirs encompassing the least of the outwardmost boundaries of all of the oil and gas accumulation zone to be within the reservoir vertically projected due to the land surface of the onshore forests fields are usually given the name of their other official boundaries often the destiny of the oil and gas regulatory agency respective states in which fields are located, and outer continental shelf fields are named by their boundaries that are designated by the mineral mining services. Gas means any field, fluid, any other combustible, non-combustible, hydrocarbon, non-hydrocarbon, which extract from the reservoir, which neither the independent shape within order, volume, but tend to the expand indefinitely to a substantive exists in the gaseous ratified state with the understanding temperature for the pressure condition. The gas plant products means the separate marketable elements of compound with a mixture of whether in liquid or gaseous solid form resulting from the process of the gas excluding residue on gas. Gathering means the movement of lease production, central accumulation with the and/or treatment of prone point on which the lease for the communitized area with the central accumulation treatment of a point of the off of the lease for the unhuman of the customized area with the improve of the Bureau of Land Management, mineral management services. You're off the outer continental shelf of the operation personnel of the onshore and continental shelf leases, respectively. Gross proceeds of the royalty payment, the purpose of the money for the total money with the other conservation accruing in oil with the gas leave with the disposition from gas with the residue of the gas plant product of the produced gas produces include but are not limited to the payments of the lease for the certain services of the hydration measurements for the other gathering and extent of the lease for the obligated to perform and the no cost of the federal government tax reimbursement and any part of the gross proceeds occurring in the lease or even though the federal royalty interest may be the extent of the taxation money of the other conservation including the form of the conservation and for the paragraph in which the lease or the contractual legally entitled but which does not seek to collect through the reasonable efforts of the also part of the gross proceeds of leases maintaining the contract profitable share agreement, the joint venture for the other agreement, the issue for the approval of the land in the United States for the mineral leasing law of the authorized exploitation, the development, extraction, or for the removal of leased products over the land or covered by the authorization, whichever is required by the context. Lease products means that any of the leased mineral attributed to the origination for the allocated outer continental shelf of the onshore federal lease for the leasers, the means any person whom the United States issues the lease that any of the person has been assigned with the obligation to make the royalty of the payments of the required by the lease for the interest that includes any of the person have the interest in the lease as well as the operator as an operator or payer who has no interest in the lease but who assumed the royalty payment and responsibility. Likely quality lease for the products means for the lease products with which have the similar chemical, physical, legal characteristics. Marketable conditions means the lease product with a sufficient free with the impurity of the otherwise conducted issue that they will be accepted as a purchase for the ownership of the contract with the type of the field within the air for the field in the area. Marketing affiliate means the affiliate with the leaser who function within the curve only with the leaf of the production of the market production. The minimum royalty meaning with the minimum amount with the annual royalty with the leaser with the must pay with the specified with the lease with the applicable with the lease regulations. The net back method. Working back method means with the method for the calculating market value of the gas lease with the owner with the smell of the cost of the transportation profit of the manufacturer with the deduction from the proceeds of the receipt of the gas of the residue gas of the gas plant produced of the extract of the proceed of the manufactured product and from the value of the gas of the residue gas of the gas plant with the products any of the extracted proceeds manufactured product with the first point with which reasonable value of any such product may be to determine the sale of the presume of the arm's length of the contract comparison to the other sale of the stuff of the product to certain value of the lease. Net output means the quantity of the residue gas for each of the gas plant with the product of the processing plant. Perceive the net profit the share of the applicable the federal lease of the means for the specified share of the net profit of the production of the oil and gas provided in the agreement. The netting means the deduction of the lines of the sale value for the reporting of the net sale instead of the correctly reporting with the deduction with a separate entry you have in the forms of military mineral management services of 2014. Your outer continental shelf of the OCS means the all submerged lands within lying in the seaward outside the area of the land beneath the navigable waters defined in Section 2 of the Submerged Land Act with the Title 43 U.S. State Code 1301, in which subsoil of the sea, that operation of the United States over the are subject to the jurisdiction of the control person, means individual, firm, corporation, association, partnership, consortium, the joint venture will be established for the separate any posted price, means the price of the net with all the adjustment, quality, locations, for the public available, the price bulletins, other price notes for the available, the normal prices operation with the quantities of the unprocessed gas residue gas, or gas plant products marketable condition. Process means any profit of the design with the remove of the elements of the compound with the hydrocarbon and hydrocarbons from the gas, including absorption, or refrigeration, including absorption, or refrigeration for the field processes. Processes with a normal take on play with the native of the lease for the type of the natural price for the production, mechanical separation, heating coil, dehydration, compression, are not considered with the processing with the change of the pressure in or hot temperature in the reservoir, not to consider process for the residue with the gas, with the hydrocarbon gas, because it's similar principle with the methane resulting from the processing of the gas sale type. Code means for the contract with the type of the general description with the arm's length with the non-arm's length with the production of the lease with the sale of the type of the code with the apply with the sale of the contract of the disposition, not for the arm's length with the non-arm's length nature of the transportation processing allowance. Section 6 leave the means of the outer continental shelf of the leave the subject of Section 6 of the outer continental shelf of the Lands Act as amended Title 43 U.S. Standard Code 1335. Spot sales agreement to mean with the contract where the sales agree with the sale of the buyer with the specified amount with the unprocessed with the residue gas or gas plant products specified with the price over fixed period, usually with a short duration, which does not normally require a cancellation, nor does it take notice of termination, which does not contain the obligation nor imply an intent to continue in subsequent periods. With warranty. Warranty contract means for the long-term contract and entered into prior with the 1970 and including any amendments thereto for the sale on the gas wherein the producer of the air agrees to sell with a specific amount of gas delivered for the satisfaction obligation may come from fields or sources outside of the designated fields. 206-152 Valuation Standards on Processed Gas. The section applied with the valuation with all the gas if not produced, if all of the gas profits and sold with the otherwise disposed of the leases presumably arm's length with the contract prior with the process that include all of the gas for the leaser's arm's length contract sale with the gas prior with the process that provides the value with the determinant of the basis of the percentage of the proceed resulting from the process of the gas of the section applies to all of the processed gas that must be valued with prior with the proceeding in accordance with the 206-155 of this part where the leaser contractor includes all of the reservation rights for the cost process for the gas and the leaser for the extra of the right with the 206-153 of the partial apply with instead of the section 2 of the value of the production royalty purpose of the gas subject of this purpose or subshell the value of the gas determined in the value of the section less applicable the allowance for the value of the gas under the arm's length of the contract with the gross proceed of the occurring to for the lease except for the providing paragraph B1, 2, and the B3 and 4 over the section the leaser of the have of the burden demonstrate for the contract with the arm's length with the value of the leaser's report with the royalty purposes subject to monitoring review and audit for the purpose of the section of the gas is sold which is sold for the otherwise transferred for the leaser for the marketing affiliate and then sold for the market over the affiliate pursuant to the arm's length with the contract with the value and then according with the paragraph based on the sale of the marketing affiliate also with the leaser's arm's length contract sale of the gas prior to processing provided with the value to the determinant of the base for the percentage of the purchaser's proceeds resulting in the purchaser's processing of the gas value of the production royalty prior purpose of the shop but never less than the value of the equivalent to 100% of the value of the residue gas attributed to the process for the lease for the leaser's gas. 2. In conducting review, the audit minerals management services examines whether the contract reflects the total consideration actual transferred either directly or indirectly with the buyer and so for the gas the contract does not reflect with the total consideration for the mineral management services may record for the gas sold with the pursuit of the contract value within accordance with the paragraph C with this section of the value may not be less than the gross proceeds including the lesser leaser including the additional with the condition of the mineral management service determines the gross proceedings incurring the lesser leaser of the pursuit of the arm's length of the contract do not reflect the reasonable value of the production because of the misconduct of the word between the contract party with because of the leaser otherwise has breached for the duty of the lesser into the market with the production of the mutual benefit of the leaser and the lesser within the mineral management service shall recover the gas production be valid pursuant to the paragraph C2 or C3 of this section in accordance with the notification requirement of the paragraph E of this section when the mineral management service determines the value of the may be unreasonable mineral management service notify of the leaser for the give of the leaser for the opportunity to provide written information justifying the leaser's value. 4. How the value of the over-delivered with the volume of the under the cash-out program. This paragraph will apply with the situation where the pipeline purchase for the gas from the leaser for the according to the cash-out program under the transportation contract with the over-delivered volume of the royalty value and the price of the pipeline required with the pay of the volume within the tolerance for the over period. Delivery special of the transportation contract that you the same value of the volume is exceeded the over their value over delivery tolerance even if the volumes are subject to the lower price than the transportation contract. However, the mineral management service determines the price of the with the transportation contract over delivered volumes of unreasonable low leaser mass value all of the delivered volumes under paragraph C2 or C3 of this section. 2. For the notwithstanding of the provision paragraph B1 of this section the value of the gas hole pursuant with the warranty contract shall be determined with the mineral management service and due to the consideration was given in all valuation criteria specified in section. Leaser must require the value determination according to the paragraph G of this section. 4. Gas hole pursuant with the warranty with the contract with the provided however any of the value determination warranty contract in effect with the effective of the date with the regulation shall remain in effect until modified by the mineral management services. The mineral management service required for the lease for the certified with the arm's length contract with the provision with included all of the consideration to be paid by the buyer with either directly or indirectly for the gas. See the value of the gas subject for the section with the not sold pursuant with the arm's length contract shall be the reasonable value determined in accordance with the first applicable the following methods of 1. Gross proceeds occurring to the leaser for the person with the under the sale under the non-arm's length for the contract contract with the other disposition other than the arm's length of the contract provided with those growth of the proceeds with the equivalent of the gross proceeds derived from and are paid under the comparable to arm's length contract with the purchase and sale of the other disposition, likely quality with the gas and same field with the necessary to obtain the reasonable sample from the same area of the evaluation of the comparable to the arm's length contract with the purpose of these regulations following with the factor of the job and consider the price and time of the execution, the duration, market service terms and quantity of the gas volume, so for the other factor with the appropriate with the reflect the value of the gas, the value determined by the consideration of the information relevant, the value with the like quality with the gas, including the gas gross proceeds on an arm's length contract with the likely quality of the gas and same with the field with the nearby field's area of the posted with the price for the gas, for the price received within the arm's length with the spot with the sales of the gas, other reliable public sale sources of private market information for the other information and the particular leave of the operation with the saleability of the gas. Netback method, any other reasonable method to determine the value of it, notwithstanding any other provision for the section except for the paragraph of the age of the section for the maximum permit price per minute of the federal law in which the gas may be dissolved with less within the value determined with the pursuant of the section of mineral management, so that shall but accept such maximum price of the value for the purpose of the section of the price limitation set for the state and the federal local government, which shall not be considered for the maximum price permitted with the federal law. Limitation prescribed in the paragraph of the E1 section shall not be applied with the gas sold pursuant to the warranty contract in value pursuant to the paragraph B2 of the section, whether the value of the determined pursuant to the paragraph C2 of the section of the lease for the shall retain all of the data relevant to determining the royalty value with the data with the subject of the review of the data, all review and audit mineral management so for the will of the direct for the lease for the different value with the determined with the reported value with inconsistent with the requirements of the lease regulation. Any federal leasers will make it available upon the request authorization mineral management so for the door of the state representative to the office of the inspector general of the Department of Interior, other persons authorized to receive such the information arm's length sale of the volume data with the likely qualified with production such sold and purchase with the otherwise obtained with the leaser from the field area and nearby field areas. 3. The leaser will be notified with the mineral management services has to determine the value pursuant to the paragraph C2 or C3 of this section. Notification shall be denied with the mineral management service associated director for the minerals review department and his or her designated letter shall identify with the valuation method of the be used as obtained with a brief description procedure for the file with the notification required with the paragraph with the one-time notification do not later than the end of the month following the months of the lease your first reports royalties form of the mineral management service the 2014 form using valuation method utilized with the paragraph C2 with the C3 act section with each time of these parent chain with the method done with the paragraph C2 or C3 of this section. If the mineral management service determines the lease that has not properly determined the value of the lease for the shall pay with the difference if any with the between the royalty payment is made based on the pound of the value due for the royalty payment they're due the based on the pound of the valuation set with the mineral management service the leaser shall also pay with the interest on the difference with the computed against Title 30 CFR 218 and leasers entitled with the credit of the mineral management are provided the instruction taking the credit. Alright, I'm continuing the lease for the may request the value of the determination mineral management for the event with the lease for the proposal of the mineral management for the value of the determination of the may for the method to determine the value of the royalty purpose of the until the mineral management for the issue of the decision. The shall submit with all the variable the data with the relevant the proposal of the mineral management for the expeditiously determine the value based on the lease for the proposal of the additional information of the mineral management for the deems necessary, making value determination mineral management for the may for the evaluation criteria authorized on the support of the determination of the remaining effect with the period stay thereafter of the mineral management. If the determinant of the lease shall make the adjustment in accordance with the paragraph 5 of the section notwithstanding any of the provisions of the section, no circumstances shall value of the production of the royalty purpose less than the gross proceeds acquiring the lease for the production lease applicable with the allowance of the lease for the must place the level of the market of the condition market of the gas mutual benefit of the lease lesser of the lease for the no cost of the federal government when the value of the established for the under section of the determinant of the lease for the gross proceed of the value will be increased extent of the gross proceed that have been reduced leads to recover the purchase of the person and providing certain services of the call for the ordinarily with the responsibility of the leaser of the to play for the gas and in the marketable condition of the market with the gas. Value shall be based on the highest price of the prudent lease for the receipt of the legal enforceable claim of the contract for the no contract with the revision amendment and for the lease for the fail for the take of the prop of the timely and the cash for the receipt of the price for the benefits of the wish for the entitled the must pay for the royalty with the value based upon the obtainable price and benefit the contract with the revision amendment shall be written and signed with all parties for any of the arm's length contract with the leaser for the makes of the time appropriate application for a price. Inquiry with benefit allowed under the contract purchase for the review of the lease for the take of the responsible measure for the witness conduct meaning with the floor for the purchase complying with the lease for the review of the over the no additional royalties and left until the no money for the consideration result from the price for the grease additional benefits for the receipt of the paragraph shall not be construed with the permit with the lease or to avoidance royalty payment of the obligation situation for the purchaser fail to pay with the whole and in part with the timely for the quantity of the gas. Came notwithstanding with the provision of these regulation contrary with the review of the reconciliation monitoring other like purposes resolved with the determination by the mineral management services of the value of the during the section of the consider of the final bidding of against the federal government or its beneficiaries until the audited period formally closed with the information for the submitted with the mineral management services of the support valuation proposal include the transportation extraordinary the cost along with exempted and is exempted with the Disclosure Freedom and Information Act of Title 552 other federal law any data specified with the law with the privilege confidential otherwise except with the maintained with the confidential manner in accordance with the applicable law with the regulation all required for the information for the determination made under the subpart or be submitted in accordance with the Freedom and Information Act regulation from the Department of the Interior of Title 43 CFR Part 2. 106 Valuation Standard Process of gas. In this section, apply with the valuation all gas process with the lease for any other gas production, which for the subparts apply with no subject to the valuation provision of the 206-152. But this part of this section applies where the leaser's contract include the reservation of the right to process for the gas and leave for the extra of the right with the valuation of the production of the royalty purpose of the gas subject to the section shall be combined with the value of the residual gas and all of the gas products, gas plant products, determined or assumed with the section plus with the value of the condensation recovered the downstream of the point of the royalty settlement without stream of the process of determination of the pursuit of the 206-102 with this part of the applicable, less applicable the transportation along with the processing along with the determined pursuit of the subpart B11 value of the residue of any of the gas plant product sold under the arm's length contract with the gross proceeds of the crewing with the lease for the except for the provided with the paragraph B1, 2, and 3 and 4 of this action, the leaser shall have the burden over the demonstrating with the contract with the arm's length with the value of the lease for represents the royalty purpose of the subject of the monitoring review of the audit with the purpose of the section residual gas and gas plant product with the sold with the otherwise transfer the lease of the marketing affiliate with the then sold by the marketing affiliate pursuant to the arm's length contract shall be valued within accordance within this paragraph based on the sale of the market or affiliate. 2. When conducting with a review of the audit of the mineral management service examine the will of the NAV of the contract will reflect with the total of the consideration actual transfer to either directly indirectly of the buyer sold the residual gap of the plant with the product with the contract that does not reflect with the total consideration then the mineral management service may require the residual gas and or gas plant product sold pursuant to the contract with the value within accordance with the paragraph C with this section value would not be less than the gross proceeds with according to the leaser with including the additional consideration. 3. In the mineral management for the determinant of the gross proceeds with occurring with the lease for the pursuit of the arm's length with the contract that do not reflect the reasonable value of the residual gap of the planned product, cover the misconduct of the word between the contracting part of the cover of the lesser for the otherwise for the breach of the duty of the leaser for the market for the production of the multi benefit of the leaser and the leaser and the lesser the mineral management services shall recover the residual gap of the planned product with the value pursuant to the paragraph C2 or C3 of the section in accordance with the notification requirements or paragraph E of this section 1 of the mineral management that determines the value may be the unreasonable with the mineral management for the notify of the leaser for the give of the leaser for the opportunity to provide with the written information justifying the leaser's value. How the value delivered with the volume zone of the cash out program. This is paragraph of the apply with the situation with the pipeline purchase for the gas for the lease for the corning with the cash out program under the transportation contract for all the delivered volume with the royalty volume over the price of the pipeline required to pay out of the volume with the tolerance for the out of the over the delivery specified with the transportation contract for the same value with the volumes exceed the over delivery tolerance of the even if the volumes are subject to the lower price under the transportation contract. However, the mineral management determines the price specified by the transportation contract over delivered volume with unreasonable with the low leaser must value with all over the delivered volume with the paragraph C2 or C3 of the section. 2. Notwithstanding the provision paragraph B1 of the section value with the residual gas pursuant to the warranty for the contract shall determine by the mineral management so with the consideration given the valuation criteria specified within this section. Lesser may require the value with determination according with the paragraph A with the section gas sold pursuant to the warranty for the contract with the provided however than any of the value determination for a warranty with the contract in effect with the effective of the date with the regulation shall remain in effect with the modified by the mineral management services. Mineral management certificate required by the lesser for the certified by the arm's length contract for the provision include all of the conservation to be paid by the buyer either directly or indirectly with the residual gas for the gas plant product with the value of the residual gas and with the gas plant product with which is not sold with the pursuant. The arm's length contract shall be reasonable with the value of the determined in accordance with the first applicable with the following method: the gross conference with the occurring with the lease person with the sale with the under with the non-arm's length contract with the other disposition other than by arm's length contract provided with those for the gross proceed of the equivalent to growth of the proceed of the derived with the paid on with the comparable to the arm's length contract with the purchase for the sale of the other dispositions likely quality with the residual gas plant products for the same processing plant, or if necessary to obtain a reasonable sample of the nearby plants for the evaluating comparable to arm's length with the contract with the purpose of the regulation following factors considered with the price, the time, execution, the direction, duration, market with the market serve the term for the quality with the residual gas plant products with the volume such for the other factor that may appropriate to reflect the value of the residual gas plant products, the value determination, consideration, any other information relevant to the value and like quality of residual gas or gas plant products, including the gross price received with the under the arm's length of the contract for the like quality of the residual gas plant product for the same gas plant, other nearby processing plant post for the price for the residual gas plant product for the price for the receipt of the spot sale of the residual gas plant products, other reliable public serve of the price for the market information and other information for this particular operation for the saleability of the same residual gas plant products. 3. A net back from that for any of the reasonable method to determine value. T1. Notwithstanding the provision of the section except for the paragraph H of the section for the maximum price for the permitted with the federal law with which for the residual gas plant product with may be sold for less than the value determined pursuant to the section of the mineral management so for the shall express with the maximum price of the value for the purpose of the section of the price limitation so by any state local government shall not be considered the maximum price permitted with the federal law with the limitation prescribed with the paragraph D1 with the section shall not apply with the residual gas over the pursuant to the warranty contract value pursuant to the paragraph B2 with the section E1 of the value of the determined particular in the paragraph C with the section left of these services shall retain all of the data relevant to determination royalty value of the data shall be subject to review audit mineral management of the directly leased for the different value of the determined upon with the review audit with the reported value within consistent with the requirements of these low regulations. 2. A federal lease will make it available upon the request of the authorization mineral management so for the state representative of the office of the inspector general of the department of the interior other impersonal authorized to see with the information arm length seal of the volume data with the likely quality with the residue with the gap of the gas plant product sold with the purchase of the otherwise obtained by the leaser with the same processing plant with the nearby processing plants. 3. The leaser shall notify the mineral management certificate to have determined any value with the pursuant to paragraph C2 or C3 of the section. The notification shall be by the letter of mineral management certificate assistant director of the minerals revenue management by his or her with the designee of the letter shall identify with the valuation method. You for the continue with a brief description of the process of the procedure to be filed with the notification required with the paragraph with one of the time notification due with no later than the end of the month following with the month release of the first reports royalty of the form of the mineral management service 2014 form U of the valuation method the authorized in paragraph C2 and the C3 section each time there is a change of the method under paragraph C2 or C3 of this section. Alright, F. In mineral management, if the determined the lease for the not properly determined the value of the leaser shall pay with the difference in any of the pay royalty payments is not made based on the pound of the value of the U of the royalty payments with the U of the based upon the value established mineral management. So for the lesser shall also pay with the interest computed on the difference pursuant to the Title 30 CFR 218-54. The lease within Title with the credit with the mineral management with the provides instruction for the taking of that credit. The leaser may request the value determination for the mineral management for the event the leaser shall prevail with the mineral management for the value determination method may even the method determining value of the royalty purpose of the mineral until the mineral management serve the issue of the decision. The leaser shall submit all available data relevant to the proposal of the mineral management shall expeditiously determine the value based on the leaser for the proposal of additional information for the mineral management for the team for the necessary for the making the value of the determination mineral management for the may even any valuation criteria authorized by this provider the determination shall remain in effect for the further this period of the state therein after the mineral management for the determination. The leaser shall make the adjustment according with the paragraph F of the section H for the notwithstanding any of the provision of the section of the no circumstances shall the value of the product of the royalty purposes for the less than the gross proceeds occurring for the lesser of the residue gas and gas plant product less applicable to the transportation along with the processing allowance determined pursuant to the subparagraph. Lesser may make place of the residual gas and gas plant product with a marketable condition, market with the residue gas for the gas plant product with a mutual benefit of the lease for the over the lesser. No case call for the over the federal government wherever the value of the established for the section for the determined the lease for the gross proceed for the value of the increase for the extent of the gross proceed has been reduced because of the purchase of any other person from the providing criteria for the services for the cost of the ordinary with the responsibility of the leasers to play with the residual gas for the gas plant with the product with a marketable condition with the market of the residual gas plant products. Value shall be based on the highest price for the prudent leaser for the receipt of the legal for the enforcement claim with under the contract for the also contract provision for the amendment of the leaser fail with the proper timely action or receipt of the price for the benefits of the which if it entail with the pay with the royalty with the value of the based on the obtainable price for the benefit contract provision. Amendment shall be in writing or signed by with all parties of the arm's length with the contract leaser for the makes time and the application for the price increase for the benefit allowed over the contract for the purchase for the review for the lease for the take of the responsible measure for the document for the purchase for the compliance with the leaser will over no additional royalties and left until the monies of the deterioration resulting from the price increase for the additional benefits of the receipt of the paragraph shall not be construed with the permit of the leaser for the to avoid the royalty payment of the obligation situation for the purchase for the fail for the pay whole and part of the timely quantity for the residual gas or gas plant product, notwithstanding any provision of the regulation of the contract with the review of the reconciliation of the mining other like profit the result of the determination of the mineral management for the value under the section of the considered the final or binding against federal government or its beneficiaries until the audit period is formally closed and L. Certain information submitted in mineral management for the support valuation proposal, including transportation along with the process, along with the extraordinary costs, along with the exemptive of the disclosure of the Freedom of Information Act of Title 5 U.S. Code 552, or freedom of the law with any data specified the law with the privilege of the confidential for the other way of the exempt will be maintained in confidential manner with accordance with the applicable law of the regulation. All the requested information about the determination made over the travel the submitted within accordance with the Freedom of Information Act regulation of the Department of the Interior, Title 43 CFR Part 2. Alright, we're going to cut the tape there at 206.154, determination qualities and quantities and quality of the computing royalties.